There's no doubt that there are several forces at work outside the country that are driving this country and the states to do what's going on right now. No doubt whatsoever. We know, for example, well, Pauline Hanson has been saying it for 25 years, and she knows that UN Agenda 21, it's now called Agenda 2030, exists. It was passed at the 1992 Rio de Janeiro Declaration. It was conjured up and orchestrated by a man called Maurice Strong, who was eventually sought for criminal activities to do with the United Nations and to do with criminal activities in North America, United States, went in self-imposed exile to China, who was the beneficiary of a lot of these policies. They were put in place to create an unelected socialist global governance. Now, Jamie, we know that major corporations in the world are quite often governed not by a board, but by the most charismatic or the most powerful individual on the board. And the basic way of running that board is for one dominant individual to act as the dominant individual and just order people around. And the rest of the board members, they may disagree, but they're afraid to say, oh, excuse me, can you explain that, please? Or I don't know this. They're afraid to show they're ignorant. They're afraid to say the words, I don't know. Can you help me? I made a mistake. They're afraid to say that. And politicians are no different from anyone else. And so what we have, it's abundantly clear, I've been calling it out for 10 years, it's abundantly clear that a small group of corporations owned by the elites run many of the institutions. The United Nations was formed for them. The World Economic Forum was formed for them. Then the gutless heads of state, like Prince Charles, soon to be, or one day will be the head of state. Prince Charles talks crap, just absolute rubbish. The Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition, they talk crap. They tell lies. We know that. I don't know that they necessarily know where the orders are coming from, because sometimes it comes through the bureaucracy, but it's very cleverly done. Paul Keating in 1992 signed the Rio de Janeiro Declaration on our behalf. In 1975, Gough Whitlam signed, on behalf of the Labor Party and on behalf of Australia, signed the Lima Declaration, which gutted our manufacturing, sent it to China. The following year, his arch opponent, Malcolm Fraser, the Liberal Prime Minister, ratified the Lima Declaration. This has been going on since 1944, ramped up in 1975, 1992 at Rio, 1996 Kyoto, gutting our electricity sector, energy sector, gutting our water access, gutting property rights, stealing property rights, going against the Constitution, around the Constitution through the work of the John Anderson government, Liberal Nationals, stealing property rights, going through the states. Then the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement was not an agreement. The countries could not agree. That's quite clear, Jamie. They said that. And so what happened was the United Nations said, well, all go home, come up with your own agreement. You send that to us. That's your Paris Agreement. China said, up yours. India said, nothing to do with us. Trump pulled out of it anyway. And we said, we're going to gut our economy. We're going to destroy our industry and export our jobs, export our manufacturing, become entirely dependent on China. I mean, this is how stupid this is. So it is a few families controlling a few major corporations with cross-ownership through BlackRock and Vanguard. We know that. We know that. And they control the same companies, control the major banks in the world that control the United States dollar through the privately owned Federal Reserve Bank. Ron Paul in America, a wonderful man, has tried so hard as a member of Congress to get an audit of the Federal Reserve Bank. Not possible. And yet he's told us the Federal Reserve Bank is neither federal, it's not a part of government, it hasn't got any reserves. These things control the way we live. And the United Nations puts in place people who can control our property, our energy, our water, the way we do things, what we can do, our resources. And they're controlling our food production now. This government, the Morrison-Joyce government, gave $64 million to the United Nations to deal with its food. I can't remember the food group that had a pre-meeting in Rome recently, Jamie. They're coming up saying that they want to